maybe a little bit about me. I come out of the CPG industry and the phytopharma industry. That's my background. I used to work for Nestle. I used to work for Unilever. My last position, I was Global Technical Director of Grupo Campari. I used to do wines and spirits. I even worked in tobacco once upon a time. And I also did plant medicines in Switzerland for a little company called Spegeros, which you can find in every pharmacy in Switzerland. So that's just very briefly. I'm a chemist, by the way. So I'm a technical guy, and I'm applying my technical skills to making chocolate in this presentation, okay? So the company that I started it in 2017 in Switzerland, but the idea for the company actually came to me when I was living in Jamaica. I was based in Kingston working in the rum industry back in 2015 and 16. And in that year of 2015, the Jamaican government decided to legalize the medical use of cannabis and decriminalize personal consumption. So my little brain, a flashbulb went off and said, I can use. It reminded me of all the things I was doing in plant medicines before back in Switzerland. So that's where the idea came from. And today we're a company that works, like I say, on nutraceuticals, but also pharmaceuticals. So we have two different activities. Swiss, we have a company in France too. We have Cloud9 France based in Nice. And we have a company in Jamaica too called CanScan Jamaica Limited. The idea is to promote a more natural and sustainable approach to health also and wellness, included that, using a scientific approach to support the development of our brands. And we also do some products for other customers too. And the end goal is overall quality of life, improving that for the consumers. Okay, so we do two things, as I said. I'm going to concentrate on this one, the chocolate in this talk up here, if this pointer stays still. I mentioned we do other things too. We have a partnership with a company here called Laiterie Réunie de Genève in Geneva, and we make cheese. We make cheese with hemp seed oil. And it's sold in all the co-op supermarkets in Swiss Romande, the French part of Switzerland. Yeah, it's in 200 stores. Yeah. We're also doing other confectionery products, which is coming, and we have a very nice partnership with the double gold medalist, double Olympic champion of the 100 meters and 200 meters, Elaine Thompson-Hera. So we're doing sports topicals with her as well. On the other side, we have developed two products for glaucoma and for asthma, and they've been trademarked Cetisol and Cetimol. Sol for the light, mol because it comes from the Latin molare, which is to give relief to the lungs. And we also have in a more greenfield type of project, making a zero-waste transdermal patch with a partner in Australia. But I'm not going to talk about that. So going back to the chocolate. Here I am living in Jamaica in 2015 and 16. Jamaica is one of the few countries that make fine flavor cocoa for high-end confectionery products. It's very small, very niche, but they have some beautiful, beautiful chocolate in Jamaica. So my idea first came to me in Jamaica to do chocolate. And I started to work with some people there and partner and see if we could do it. But at that time, back in 2016 and 17, 17 particularly, the regulations weren't really there yet in Jamaica. So my partner, he was a bit scared, basically, and he really wanted to focus on doing just mainstream chocolate and leave the cannabis out, whereas my interest was to do something with the cannabis, right? So I came back to Switzerland actually in 16, mid-16. I kept working for Campari at the time, and I left in 2017 to start my own company. In 2018, I'm going up now. I started working with a Swiss chocolate manufacturer, big chocolate manufacturer. They do like 500 tons a year of chocolate. And they do B2B service for a lot of companies around the world. And I worked with them for about a year, actually. It was about a year. We put a year's effort into it. And at the end of the year, their management said no, because they were afraid of liabilities. They were afraid of what their other customers would say because they're focused on B2B. So we had to scrap that. Yeah, so that was the beginning. So I basically, in the beginning of my little adventure, it took me 4 years to get this chocolate out the door, basically. And I'm going to tell you a little of the evolution of how that went on. But going back to 18, in October, I decided to do this, what's called a brand development workshop, because you're developing a consumer product, and like any CPG product, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the consumer first and see what they're going to see and try and design it to meet them. And our concept was, first of all, to do a chocolate with CBD. We wanted to do chocolate with CBD, and I approached our local authorities in Switzerland, and I talked to them first. That was the very first thing I did, actually. And they said, well, you got to do three things. First, it's got to be hemp. It's got to be industrial hemp, EU certified industrial hemp that also belongs to the common registry list. The second thing is you have to use traditional processing techniques for the extraction. And the third thing is can't have any THC, because actually in Switzerland, you all know, and you guys mentioned it yesterday, it's 1% in the flour that's allowed in Switzerland. But in a food product, we actually have a contaminants regulation, and we're probably the only country in Europe to have a contaminants regulation that specifies THC as a contaminant in a food. And it's 0.000, and it goes on. So it's basically zero, okay? So that's with THC. So going back to this is really important because this was the starting point, and this helped us to crystallize all our thoughts. So the first thing we did was to define the target audience for the new brand, looking at trade and consumer. This was really cool. Develop a brand compass. This was a really cool thing to do. And that helped us to guide the whole brand strategy. And then after that, you could work out what the composition should be of the product and the packaging. And then we started to knock around ideas about brand names, what we wanted to call it, and then the design, the visual, the look and feel for the new brand. It's very hard to develop a new brand. If anyone in this room has ever created a new brand, it's hard, it's tough. You know, working for all these big companies, they do a lot of iterations. Same brand, it's been around for 50 years, and it's easy to put out something new, but a completely new brand is tough. A route to market is very, very tough with a new brand, and distribution, because people are looking at it and they say, okay, you know, I know what I can make by selling this other brand. How much am I going to make from selling yours? You're new, nobody knows you, the consumers don't know you, so it's tough to penetrate into the retail channels. And then the last thing here I have is ensure compliance. That's really, really important. And I'm going to talk about novel foods afterwards a little bit too. You know, I like interactive talks and presentations. So if you got questions, stop me. It's cool. I'm okay with that, yeah? I'm just going to put up on this just two things just to give an example of what came out of our workshop. The workshop, by the way, lasted 3 days. It was 3 very intense days. We were a whole team of people. All together, and people with different experiences and backgrounds. On the distribution side, the consumer side, I brought in a marketing expert who actually developed one of the big chocolate brands in the United States to lead us through this whole process. And I knew him from my Campari days because we worked together. So in terms of customer profile, we were thinking to sell into the health food store channel, the parapharmacies. And of course, you're dealing with pharmacists, the retail assistants, healthcare professionals, sales professionals. Because remember, we're going back and we're thinking to do a CBD chocolate. So we're trying to leverage on the health benefits of CBD. That was our mindset. And at that time, we were also talking to a lot of pharmacists and doctors. We have also a collaboration with a group in Italy at that time called Antalgica, which is a group of about 300 pharmacists and 30 medical practitioners who prescribe medical cannabis. And I also made contact at one of these wonderful conferences. I met a very good pharmacist from Emmental near Bern, who was the very first pharmacy to actually do medical cannabis. You guys probably know them, yeah? Near Burgdorf, yeah? In Langnau. In Emmental. So the apotheca in there, I sat down with them and talked with them, and they were saying, you know, the idea of doing a chocolate would be fantastic because we have, in Switzerland at that time, there was 2,000 patients using medical cannabis at that time, 2017, 18. And most of them are children. Most of them are children suffering from epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, and other pathologies. And a difficulty that parents have and the children have is they get tired of taking these oils. So they said to me, if you can do a chocolate, we'll sell it. You know, we would love to have the chocolate because it makes a lot of sense for us. So that's why we were really targeting this health food channel for that type of chocolate. And then we were looking at the typical consumer. Who's a typical consumer? And it's really skewed more female, age 35 to 60, the income, professional, a fairly high level of professional status, generally married with a family. Their lifestyle is very much focused on health and wellness oriented, good for the body, good for the soul, people who are involved in fitness, outdoor, recreation, people who are also environmentally aware, people who are, you know, interested in natural organic foods, alternative medicine, supplements, and also people who, you know, what you find also, and especially in those years, is that those consumers they know more than the doctors. Yeah. Now I don't know about today, but at that time they know more than the doctors. And so they were reading very much about CBD, about cannabis, and of course the North American influence was quite strong in that time. This is the brand compass. There's a lot of things on this, but what I really want you to think about is that when we were designing the brand compass, there's two things we were thinking of. This one is from the perspective, pushing the wrong button, of the consumer, the buyer, the end consumer. So how does it make me look? Yeah, so outwardly. And then how does it make me feel? Oh, Jesus, your pointer's crap, huh? And that's internally. Okay, so we're looking at it from the consumer's perspective, outward and inward, all right? And trying to put ourselves into their mindset. So from this, you're thinking about what do they believe is a truth or a fact, or, you know, what are their beliefs? Like what I was saying before about, you know, the sustainability, the environmental consciousness, the health consciousness. So that translates into these things: knowledgeable about cannabis, open-minded, health conscious, responsible, and informed, right? On the other side, how does it make me feel? So they're looking for products: relaxation, relaxed, empowered, in control of my health, stress-free, pain-free, and calm. Those were the key things that came out of the workshop. Remember, this is a workshop, so we're capturing all the key ideas and the thoughts that are going around the table. And then the next thing is, how does that translate into an actual product? So you have your product attributes, which are in here in the purple, all right? And so you have, we focused on dark chocolate, not milk chocolate or white chocolate, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate because it's more a connotation with health because of the higher cocoa levels. And everyone knows dark chocolate is good for your health. Yeah, it's the antioxidants, the flavonoids in chocolate, which are naturally there. So people already know that. So we wanted to do a dark chocolate, but we didn't want it to have a cannabis taste. So we wanted to do a chocolate that was also a premium tasting chocolate product. It had to be safe and compliant. It had to also have a guaranteed concentration. So every bar had to have the same amount. And even each piece of the chocolate has to have the same amount. And of course, CBD, which was the key thing we were doing at the time, has to be prepared in a professional food production facility. And you know, to operate in Switzerland, you have to have all your bells and whistles in order to satisfy, because you're audited by the cantonal authorities. So the food production site has to have a HACCP plan in place, has to have food safety, has to be controlled by the cantonal authorities. And if they have any other certifications like kosher, halal, that's all good too. We said again, Swiss, it has to be Swiss. We want to leverage brand Switzerland. That's an important thing for us, and especially in chocolate. The cannabis itself actually is EU. We sourced that out of the EU. Laboratory tested and verified, safe to consume. So every batch is also tested, and that's a given. So, all right. Now on this side, this is packaging and then functional benefits. So again, you start from the outside and you work in. So functional benefits, thinking of the consumer, they're looking for something, like I said, relaxation, vitality, pain relief. Who knows, maybe they want to give it to their elderly for epilepsy or their children for epilepsy. We can't say it because it's a food product, so it falls under food law. But the consumer, they're thinking that, or they may be thinking that. that they want to use. Like that pharmacist I talked to in Emmental, who said, well, you know, up to 2,000 patients in Switzerland, most are children. So if you can give them chocolate instead of giving them an oil, maybe it doesn't take the whole dose, but it gives a contribution, and it's a much more pleasurable way of doing it. Improves clarity, focus, concentration, anti-inflammatory, enhances mood, facilitates sleep, and anti-anxiety. So these are the type of functional benefits we wanted in the product. And then packaging, again, like the product, in terms of packaging, it has to have a natural look and feel. You know, we did, I don't know how many iterations of the packaging design, because in the very, very beginning, we designed something that looked quite hedonistic, you know, very attractive, very premium, luxury-looking chocolate. But in fact, after we did this workshop, we understood that the consumer that we're trying to target doesn't care about that. They care about something that's reassuring, that looks healthy, that they would give to their elderly or to their children. So it has to look natural, handcrafted, looking premium, high quality, clearly marked as a cannabis product, looks and feels safe, informative and medically precise in terms of all the information on it, and it has to look really like a professional product, okay? So we spent a lot of time on this, but this was our compass, and this really helped us and guided us in everything that came after. So in terms of product packaging components, we started to think about the product, and remember, this is back in 2018. Huh? So we're thinking 2 products, sort of one skewed more health and wellness side, and a chocolate skewed more medical side, because we're still thinking about our conversations with the pharmacist, right? And then the idea here is that it differs in dosage. So we're thinking of 100 milligrams of the extract, what flavors, again, a lower dosage. So we're thinking to change the dosage to have like a sliding scale for 2 different types of products. But in the end, we did something similar, but not quite. So we were thinking of 2 products under the same brand. And I'm talking here about differentiator is the amount of the cannabis extract, but also pricing, because also when you start to work through your cost of goods, then you find out that this one actually is quite a difficult sell to make, yeah, at the end of the day. But another thing that came out was because originally we were thinking of doing the standard chocolate bar. The standard chocolate bar is 100 grams typically. Most chocolates are 100 grams. 100 grams or 80 grams, but the mainstream ones are 100. But then after doing the workshop, we found out that, well, the consumer, they're not buying the chocolate to eat chocolate. They're actually buying the chocolate because they want the health benefit of it. So the chocolate's just a vector for the CBD. So they don't want to get, you know, an extra 2 kilos of eating chocolate every month at the end of the month. The idea is to have a smaller size chocolate bar, so a 50-gram bar. And you can even go smaller as well. In terms of the labeling, there's a front label and a back label on here. So these are all the different things that had to be described on it. And also there's legal requirements there as well, okay? Like recycling codes and stuff like that. So that led us to developing the first prototype. So this bar that's on this picture here was shown at a big trade fair in Cologne called ISM. It's the world's largest sweet and snacks trade fair in the world. Yeah. It gets, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of people. It's a week-long event. It's huge. It's really, really massive. And so we were on the Swiss pavilion. We were very proud to be flying the Swiss flag on the Swiss pavilion, showing our chocolate for the very first time. And people were tasting it, and we also did something else. We used it to test packaging design. So everybody that came to our little stand, we were getting them to fill in a formula. We were talking with them, explaining it, getting them to say, which type of design do you like? So this helped us to get better in terms of the look and feel of our product. And at the end of both experiences, the workshop and also the packaging design, this is what we came out with. So we decided on the brand name, 50-gram bar, 60% cocoa. We put this little logo, HACCP. HACCP is about food safety. But the idea of the little green tick in the HACCP is just to convey the idea that it's done in a safe way. We called it VIVA 100 at the time because the idea was to use 200 milligrams of an extract, and it was a 50% extract, 50% of CBD, so it would have 100 milligrams of CBD in it, right? In the beginning, we were calling it cannabis sativa L, and we were saying full spectrum hemp natural flavor. And do you remember back in those days in 2018, some of the CBD suppliers were saying, well, to get around the novel foods conundrum, you could say it's a flavor. Yeah? Anyone here remember that? Yeah. It all changed afterwards in January 2019. So that's the firstborn. It's a mini. So we went from the prototype. I should have it here. I brought it with me. I can find it. Yeah. So the mini. So Napolitans, they're also called. These were done for a trade fair in Milan, the International Hemp Fair, in September of 2019. This was the first actual commercial product, that we did. Little minis with all the packaging, ingredients, list on the back, nutrition, everything, right? As it should be, compliant to regulations. So the first one. And then we went from there to this one. This one. It's like going to school and you do show and tell. Yeah? This is what I'm doing. I'm doing show and tell. So this is our display box, our counter display box. And you have 20 bars in a display box. It's the 50-gram bar. Okay. So that came out, and that was produced for the very first time on 27th of November 2020. And that's my little team, my little chocolate team. All right. And these guys, they're a company that have been making chocolate since 1898. Premium Swiss chocolate. Beautiful, beautiful, high quality chocolate. This chocolate's actually it's called couverture, the type of chocolate. And it's made from cocoa from Colombia, Colombia, Ghana, and I can't remember anymore. I can't remember. It's gone. But there's 3 very fine cocoa beans in here. So I'm proud of this because this was really our first real chocolate bar that you could sell. Yeah, you could do it. And also another nice thing, it has on the back Swiss handmade. We have the Swiss handmade logo, which is pretty cool. It's also a vegan product. You'll notice also from the beginning, remember the VIVA 100 I showed you just before? It's evolved, it's changed. Because in the meantime, what we understood was not only do we want to re-emphasize Swiss, so we added the mountain, and we also added a little Edelweiss, and we also changed from saying cannabis sativa to hemp. And this was a key thing because there was a confusion. We also noticed that when we talk about cannabis, everybody was saying, oh, I'm going to get high with it. But when we talk about hemp, then the conversation changed because people were more comfortable with hemp, yeah? And actually, we do use a hemp extract, all right? That is true. But the other thing we wanted to do is, well, it's a dark chocolate. We're doing a healthy product. We wanted to emphasize healthy. So we put healthy hemp chocolate, dark chocolate, okay? And then there's 10 servings in here. There's also 50 milligrams of CBD. It's also a 50-gram bar, like I mentioned before. So per piece, it's 5 milligrams of CBD in each square. Now, that's the trick as well, to be able to get the dosing right. So we had to design the addition of the CBD extract, because we're using a broad spectrum extract, actually. We're not using CBD isolate. We're using a broad spectrum extract. We had to make sure we could get it into the chocolate mass and have it in a very homogeneous way. So we had to do a lot of testing to optimize our whole production process. But you can do it and do it very successfully. So then that's VIVA 50. And that's basically our sales slick. So it talks about the information on here. That was the country, Ecuador. Colombia, Ecuador, and Ghana. Yeah. It's 52% cocoa, and it also comes in an orange and ginger, and also a moringa and mint, because we're doing something else here. The philosophy behind the use of the different botanicals is to use botanicals that have healthy virtues, healthy properties. So moringa is actually known very, very well for boosting immune system. It's a superfood. Yeah, it's also known as an adaptogen. It's a key adaptogen. Ginger, you know, can help for stomach troubles. Yeah, people use ginger, drink ginger tea, things like that. So we combine the healthy properties of the different botanicals with the hemp and also with the cocoa. So that's how we can say it's a healthy product. And so you have all the information and everything. Another nice thing is we have fair direct cocoa in terms of the sourcing. So there's no brokers involved in the sourcing of the cocoa beans. It's sourced directly from the farmers, so the farmers get a good price. And then we buy the chocolate in bulk. So that guy who does the chocolate, he's also overseeing the agricultural practices of the farmers and making sure, you know, what they're doing. They're not using the pesticides or whatever. They're doing the right practices to ensure a good quality cocoa. Now, yeah, I got 2 minutes, so I have to go very fast. I don't know. You guys already know about this whole conundrum in novel foods. Everything changed in 2019 when the European Commission decided to revise the catalog, right? So that was here. And so my life became very, very hard at that time because I couldn't sell my CBD chocolate legally in the EU or in Switzerland. I can only go and sell it in places like Jamaica, or actually we got it approved by the Dubai FDA. It's sold actually in Guernsey. Yeah, the first customer we had was in Guernsey because their authorities are allowing it. It's being sold in France, in some hemp stores in France, because also the authorities, they don't seem to mind in France at the moment. You will find CBD products in supermarkets in France, Casino supermarkets, Carrefour, Monoprix supermarkets. They're selling CBD in food. Yeah. So it's being sold in certain channels, but it can't be just generally sold. Like it can't be sold in Germany. It'd be very difficult to sell this chocolate in Germany right now. Sorry? No. Then came the Canavape case, and you know all this stuff. And then, you know, last week the EFSA came out with their latest statement, right? So my life became very difficult. So that pushed me into then developing another chocolate with hemp seed oil. Now, hemp seed oil has another challenge. There are hemp seed food products on the market. There's actually quite a few. But the dilemma with using the oil is that, like any vegetable oil, the oil oxidizes. So that limits your shelf life and the stability of your product. And if you're making a chocolate, it has to have at least a 12-month shelf life to get into the retail channels, at least. So we worked with our supplier. It's an Italian supplier. We worked with them to actually use natural antioxidants in order to stabilize the oil when it's cold pressed immediately at the very beginning. This is also a patented technology by my supplier, and we have exclusivity on the use of the oil for confectionery products. Okay, that makes it sticky. All right, so this is our USP. But you know, hemp seed oil is a wonderful product because of the omega-3 fatty acids. You know that? It's like one of the richest vegan sources of omega-3. If you don't want to take the little capsules of fish oil, you can take hemp seed oil. And in our chocolate, this is what we put on the label. We put hemp seed oil on the label. This chocolate, and another thing I just want to mention is the ratio of the omega-3 and the omega-6, because it's also known as the ideal ratio, 1:3. Yeah, typically 1:3 is the ideal ratio, because most of our Western diets really go very high on the omega-6, which, if your body is taking too much, can lead to inflammation in your body, and that can become chronic and lead to diseases, all right? And omega-3 has the wonderful benefit that it helps to offset that and to bring the body back into balance. Homeostasis again, okay? I'm going to go really, really quick because I'm out of time. But this is just a little picture of the production that we did of this chocolate. So it's 6 months old. This chocolate is 6 months old. It's brand new, all right? And that's just the packaging line, all right? It's another proud moment. We produced 1.5 tons of chocolate, 15,000 bars we produced on that morning at 6 a.m. I remember it very well. So it comes in 2 different packagings. This package here that you see, which is an individual display box with 22 bars in it, and another box that we designed because talking to big retailers, the big supermarket chains and drugstores, they want to have a different display unit. This is nice for single stores, small stores. But we did this one. And we did another design on this. We made it very easy for the guys in the store to put it on the shelf. And then it's all flat packs. That's another thing, because we also thought about, you know, the store and the operations of the store, because these boxes, you know, in the supermarket, at the end of one day, they have huge amounts of packaging. So it has to be made practical for them to use. So we designed this specially so that everything could be flat, easy to take off, easy to put on the shelf. No knives, no cutting, nothing like that, no plastic. And it's all recyclable. And then we have 3, the dark, the orange and ginger, and the meringue and mint. And I'm almost finished, so I'll invite you all to have a bar and enjoy it, okay? Let's see. And then we got the same sheet for the VIVA. We got our trademarks. The last thing, I just very, very quickly, the guys from Swissgate, they very nicely mentioned yesterday, so they already primed you that in Switzerland we have the pilot program. Yes, thank you, sorry. I thought I talked loud enough, no? So, this is in German, sorry, but I'll refer you back to this website of the BAG, which is the Swiss Federal Office of Public Health in Switzerland, because we started a pilot program and we're one of the companies in Switzerland who's been approved as a supplier of chocolate. So our next chocolate that's in the gestation stage right now is one with THC. And that's giving us lots of other product and packaging considerations about dosage, ratios, the onset effect, labeling, and of course safety, because I think somebody mentioned yesterday, children. We don't want it ending up in the hands of a child and then unfortunately that child going to hospital. We want to completely avoid that. So the packaging has to be seriously looked at there. So this is our new development. And this is about continuing to innovate because we're always thinking ahead. And we looked, this was a very nice thing that came out by Brandwatch just a couple of weeks ago. And they looked at all consumer research from the internet. They took 94 million. It's amazing. They analyzed 94 million online social media mentions. Out of that, chocolate came in its 4th. So I was very happy. Out there, everyone's talking about chocolate. And the other thing that came is vegan. I'm happy about that too. And then they also went about this. So they looked at all the different trends, types of products. And hemp CBD came in here at, what is it, 7? Not so bad when you think of the whole universe. Ginger, hemp again. So it's definitely popular. So we're thinking ahead. We're in the process of doing a bioorganic certification. I couldn't do it in the beginning for the first production. I know, I'm sorry. Because my hemp seed oil manufacturer, he wasn't certified yet with his hemp seed oil. So we had to do a standard chocolate. But now we can do it because we have all the certifications in place. So now we're doing this with BioSwiss. We're also in Canada going through the process of having our chocolate declared as a natural health product, which is like a food supplement, because of the omega-3. And then we can make health claims. We're looking at other botanicals. We're also looking at mushrooms. So that's the recap. You've got the idea. There's 3 different types of chocolate in the range. We work with a lot of people, a lot of collaborations, and we're a member of different associations. We got our team. These are my 3 sales people who are pushing this in 6 months now. And this is about the human element. And I hope you've also picked up that in our approach, we start with this non-negotiable principles is quality, safety, and compliance. That's key for us. It's non-negotiable. Honesty, trust, and ethical behavior with all our partners, from the consumers to our suppliers to our retailers. We always focus on a win-win relationship. We believe in this, we truly believe it's a part of our brand, and we work with people who share these values. We really believe in this motto of doing our best and going the extra mile. And then what we're really focused on is education. I mean, a buyer of a retail chain, they know nothing about hemp. They really know nothing. So we're doing a lot of education. And this is our little catchphrase, our tagline. And that's it. Thank you very much, everyone.